Hi, I'm Tom Cantor from the Studebaker Drivers Club, Dakotas chapter. I want to welcome you all to the 2024 Labor Day weekend event down here in Custer, South Dakota. We have just got an absolutely gorgeous day for our show. Mild temperatures, a nice breeze, and what a turnout. We have 44 cars, some that have never been to the show before. We are just having a wonderful time. Unfortunately, by the time you see this video, the show will be over. But don't forget, we'll be back here next year in the same spot, downtown Custer, on Sunday, Labor Day weekend. Please come out and see us, and if you own a Studebaker, bring it out. We'd love to have you here.
Hi, I'm Clayton Studebaker from Yankton, South Dakota. My car is a 64 Studebaker full packaged R1 car. I'm a 11th generation of the original Studebaker family. Three brothers that came in America from Germany in 1867, John, Peter, and Clement. I'm on the Clement side of the family. They were blacksmiths, started building wheelbarrows when they got here, got into covered wagons. Then during the Civil War, they built a lot of the military wagons. During World War II, they got into military contracts, building military-type vehicles. Did quite a bit of stuff. Enjoy being part of the club here. Been here for about 20 years now with the Studebaker Club.
My name is Lonnie Coster. We live just outside of Deadwood in Boulder Canyon. I purchased the car in 2012, and it was completely dismantled. Took about 9 years for me to put it all back together. I did all the work myself except the upholstery, and just had the upholstery done a couple, 3 months ago, and had it in cool Deadwood nice several times. Just a fun car. Did the body and the paint. Bought it from a restoration shop in Salt Lake City. It was in tubs, boxes, everything apart. It was fun, challenging, but it was a good car. It was good. I had fun.
My name is Greg Donkel. I'm from Denver, Colorado, and I brought a 1930 Studebaker Commander Victorian. So the car originally came out of Massachusetts, sat in a warehouse. It's got about 48,000 miles now on it. I did buy it from a gentleman that kind of put a street rod underneath, but all the vehicle's all original on the upside. So the interior's all original was made in 1930. Right now it's powered with a 350 three-deuce setup with a 350 automatic and then a Ford rear end. We've only had about 3 years now.
Ned and Betsy Stevenson, 1950 Studebaker 2R10, modified with four-wheel drive, power steering, tilt, cruise, and air. Runs quite well. We drove it 1,440 miles up here.
Tom Sexton from Riverside, Iowa. That's over in the southeast corner of the state. I have a 1966 Studebaker Commander, 283 automatic. It's a survivor car, which means I have not done any restoration on it at all besides making it roadworthy. I bought it from the original owner. He had 3 Studebakers, which I had purchased all those other ones too, and he finally let this one go, and it had not seen the light of day for 10 years probably. So the basic maintenance stuff that needed to be done on it to get it roadworthy again, coolant, brakes, and just giving a really good detailing to be what it is today.
Jason Gloat from Pierce, South Dakota, from Spearfish, so fairly local. We've got a Studebaker on a Studebaker here. We've got a 1949 1.5 ton That's been converted into a car hauler, and on top we've got a 1950 half-ton that was converted to a four-wheel drive, which is fairly unique because they didn't have four-wheel drive Studebaker pickups until, I believe, 1958. It's also got a 400 cubic inch GTO engine in it, so we call that one Super Stud. This one was a frame-off restoration. Originally it would have had a 245 flat 6 in it, but they converted it to the Studebaker Thunderbolt 283, which in the latter years became pretty popular. It's actually a Chevy GM-made engine, but a lot of Studebakers still put them in. We've actually got an old Studebaker Garage in Pierre. It was an original, the Pashby family built it as a dealership, so they sold Studebakers and Packards. Pleasant Avenue in Pierre, so about a block north of the railroad tracks, and it still has the original windows, the original fan blade belts, the original tire racks, original car lifts. It's a perfectly preserved Studebaker dealership. The front part of it was a sale room floor with a couple, you could probably put 2 Studebakers in it, and then 2 small offices for the salesman, and then the rest of it is the shop that they would have worked on cars at. Built in 1932, so we're approaching the 100-year anniversary of the Studebaker dealership. So once we got the Studebaker dealership, we figured we had to get some Studebakers to put in it, and that's when we found these. We've actually got one more 1952 half-ton that we actually got from the original owner, Elmer Steinel from Kansas, and so we have an original owner Studebaker in that shop too.
I'm Arie Erikson. We're from near Sioux Falls. I bought this Studebaker Surrey in the kind of around 2000, pretty tough shape. We kind of stuck it away in a barn for a while and then got it out and started restoring it. A lot of work, so we put it back in the barn, and then I got it out and we finished it in 2014, and we enjoyed it a lot. It's fun taking it to shows. She had a horse for a while that we pulled it with, and we're working on breaking another one. We're enjoying the show very much. A lot of good people.
Studebaker started in the beginning with covered wagons and buggies and surreys, and actually when Custer was in this area, they kind of think that all his covered wagons that he used were Studebaker wagons.
I'm Eugene Berg from Monroe, South Dakota. This is a 57 Studebaker Golden Hawk. There was about 3,500 of them built in 57. They're all supercharged, and they were all the answer for the speed they could get out of a car, which was enough to be one of the fastest cars built in 57. And they put out 275 horse. In 58, they built 900 and some, so this is all of these that were built, other than a 56 with the Packard motor. They were actually faster than the Corvette or most of the other production cars built, according to everything I've read. This one has 74,000 original miles on it. We've owned it since 1968.
I'm Kristen Movic. I'm from Fullerton, Nebraska. My dad originally bought this car for me when I was 16, and I'm 24 now. He taught me how to drive 3-speed on it, and then we knew we didn't want a 400-point show car because we wanted to drive it, and that's what Studebakers and cool cars are meant to do, is to be driven. So we decided that we wanted to go to the international meet in Manitowoc, and that was our date, and we replaced pretty much everything on it. It's the original color, Algonquin green. It has the original reproduction seats in it. Yeah, and it's just a fun little car to drive. It has a 283 V8 in it, and I can pretty much keep up with any of them.
My name is Paul Heinerd. I'm from Custer, South Dakota. I bought this car at Myrtle Auctions about 35 years ago, and I haven't done anything to it but put a battery in it. The tires that are on the car are still the day I bought it. It's a Flight Hawk, a 1956 Flight Hawk, and they're the first Hawk that are made. It's a 6-cylinder. In the middle of the year, they went to the V8s and a Skyhawk, so that was the end of these cars.
The truck in front of us is a assembled truck. It's a 1938 cabin chassis vehicle. The original sheet metal came off a 1938 K15 Studebaker, which was a 1.5-ton truck. This is a much heavier chassis. The chassis is a 2001 Freightliner chassis, basically. It's had several upgrades. The engine is so much bigger than the original Studebaker engine, we had to modify the hood. The hood is not only 16 inches longer, but the front fenders are each a foot wider than the original truck. And all of the front sheet metal has been welded together on a subframe so that it tips forward for servicing the engine. The front end is so wide that you would not be able to reach the engine for service if it was a conventional folding hood. They didn't make all that many of these trucks. They were built from basically from 37 to 42. They made very few in 41 and 42 as we were drifting into the war years. The military in Europe purchased 1,000 of these trucks. I think it was the French Army that bought them. And of course those trucks ended up in the hands of the Germans after Germany invaded France. So these trucks saw action in Europe on both sides, basically. When you look at the interior, you'll see that the dashboard has a digital instrument cluster. That's from the Freightliner. It's got additional switches and air controls for the air brakes, and then it has a conventional Studebaker glove box.
I'm Perry Myers from Minnetonka, Nebraska. This is my 42 Studebaker tow truck. I restored it several years ago, and I found it and thought it'd be neat to have a tow truck. Everything works on it. Got it working, and I use it once in a while to pull cars and stuff, and it's fun to play with. It took me a few years to get it restored, but it's probably been about 20 years ago since I restored it, and it's fun to play with. It's a 42 Studebaker. It's got a Commander 6-cylinder engine in it, flathead big 6 in it. It's a pretty heavy truck. We drive it around every once in a while.
Sterling Horney from Regina, Saskatchewan, about 500 miles straight north of here. Came down here with this Vante. It's a 1976 Vante, which I picked up a few years ago and changed the color of it and did a little motor work to it, changed that department so I could put a blower on it, and also changed the interior on it. When I bought it, it was a wreck. Somebody had driven it to a pole, so I bought it as salvage and rebuilt it from there. I liked the Studebakers because Vante was a part of the Studebaker company, and when Studebaker went broke, there was parts left over, and somebody took over and started building the Vantes. There came out the Vante 2, they called them, and so I liked the designs. I like coming down here. Started in '89 coming down here. It was good to meet everybody again. I haven't seen for a while, and I just enjoy coming here.
It's all done, painted nice, and then make a Studebaker sticker.
In Ireland, CIE tours, they did a very nice job.
I only went to Ireland. Oh, yeah, thanks for rubbing it in. Yeah.
Iowa, Nebraska.
It's not improving. Okay, well, I feel bad.
Glad I didn't have to. Good. It's massive. This is big.
I believe that. I'd have to fly over to see how big it is. Get a perspective.
At one point, like 2 hours ago, they said 30.
I got